tatra vedakini siyatidam kamatanha bhavatanha vibhavatanha.
Good evening, Dhamma friends. I would like to wish you the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem for a happy and peaceful Dhamma study period. I know some friends joined from Sri Lanka, and I would like to wish them, may you have a happy morning with the Buddha's teaching. May you be able to improve your knowledge and experience in the Dhamma by participating in this program. Today, another beautiful evening for us, Saturday, June 17. We are going to study the Dharma in the Suttas in this class, depending on the time we have. So let's get started this Sutta study class with wholesome thoughts, especially by paying homage to the Supreme Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times in Pali and also in English. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened one. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened one. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened one. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Friends, I would like to welcome all of you for this Sutta study class. As I said, this class is designed for exploring the knowledge of the Buddha's teaching based on discourses and develop our practice on Sila, Samadhi and Panya. This is not an academic endeavor. We all want to see what the Buddha said about different aspects of life and also Dhamma, and move forward with those teachings of the Buddha by applying them into our life, so that it could be either academic or experiential. It doesn't matter. You are here to listen to me and everyone else who talk about here. Perhaps you have made ready yourself with the sutta we discussed before this class, so that you have kind of knowledge about it. Anyway, it's still there is a possibility for us to follow the teachings of the Buddha as said in these selected discourses. The sutta we selected for today's discussion is Gopalaka Sutta. It's called Maha Gopalaka Sutta. This sutta is recorded in Majjhima Nikaya first section. Sutta number is 33. The greater cowherd discourse. Gopala is a famous name in the Indian subcontinent for a long time due to the interrelatedness ourselves towards the cow, the Gopala. Go means the word, a real word used for cows and buffaloes and all the animals in that family. So therefore, this word is not unknown to many people. It's known to many people because of this historical and also current nature we have with the cow. So Mahagopalaka Sutta is named in such a way because of the simile the sutta discuss. So we can go into the discourse and see how the Buddha used that simile to bring out the Dhamma that is that are necessary for disciples. So before we move on to the Sutta reading, I just want to invite everyone to read Majjhima Nikaya Suttas. I have said this before, but I would like to reiterate because you can find the Dhamma that are necessary in the Majjhima Nikaya. They are well said. Swakhato Bhagavata Dhammo is really visible in the Majjhima Nikaya when you read these discourses. The length is okay for somebody to follow, and the Dhamma the Buddha explained are very clear and with examples and analogies and similes, so that don't wait for somebody to explain everything. You can read them on your own and try to get some experience, try to get some knowledge about it. If you read newspapers every day morning to know what the world is about, I think better read a discourse every day, because the length of the discourse is quite similar to one page of the newspaper. When you get the newspaper, you read couple of pages depending on the titles you have, depending on the news you are provided with. But this is really important. This is better than anything, because you are going to know what the Buddha said about ourselves, and you slowly make yourself away from busy problematic situation and understand the Dharma that is necessary for your peaceful state of living. So Gopalaka Sutta is uttered by the Buddha for the sake of monks' training, but the Dhamma in the Gopalaka Sutta discussed is relevant for everyone. As you know, there were no lay people close to the Buddha in his real life, especially when he stayed at the monastery, when he travels. In some occasion, lay people come to the Buddha for help, for counseling, but mostly the bhikkhus live with the Buddha, so that the deliverance of Dhamma happened to the bhikkhus than even bhikkhunis. So that this seems like the Buddha delivered this discourse directly to monks, but monks are representative of all other three communities, bhikkhunis, lay, male and female followers, so that we can equally digest the Dharma in the discourse for our training. So we can see clear section of the discourse. In the first section, Buddha talks about the unskillful cowherd as well as unskillful bhikkhu disciple. Unskillful cowherd with 11 points is compared to the monk or bhikkhuni or layperson who is unskillful in the dharma and vinaya. The very word the Buddha uses, dharma and vinaya. That is the technical way to introduce the Buddha's teaching to somebody. Even the Buddha used that, dhamma vinaya. It completes everything. It includes everything. So in the first section of the discourse, we see the unskillful cowherd with 11 points, and then unskillful bhikkhu or bhikkhuni or any disciple with 11 points. When we go to the second part of the discourse, we see the skillful cowherd who is able to fulfill all the requirements for the growth of the cows and also the owner of the cows. Likewise, we see right after that the skillful disciple who fulfill his training with all the 11 points. So therefore, this sutta is easy to map in our mind, easy to remember. If you the hard part is to remember the 11 points, but when you go on and on over these 11 points, there is a great chance of remembering everything. But anyway, what the Buddha said is very clear. We should be skillful in the Dhamma and Vinaya to be able to practice it and also brings results out of it. And there you have some points to practice, points to remember, so that you would be a good bhikkhu or bhikkhuni or male or female follower. So let's go into the discourse. I'm not sure whether I send you the link of the discourse so that it is better for us to read some part in clear voice, so that those people who did not read the discourse before this class might get some understanding. As usual, this discourse was delivered by the Buddha when he was at the Jetwanarami monastery in Savatthi. The monks, the group of monks were not known. Anyway, the Buddha said, monks, a cowherd endowed with 11 factors is incapable of looking after a herd so that it prospers and grows. The cowherd who is incapable, the cowherd who lacks of some qualities is incapable of to protect the cow, the herd, and also he cannot do anything for the growth of the herd. What are the 11 points? There is the case where a cowherd is not well versed in forms, basically the appearance of cows. We would be able to identify each cow from the others. So it's like a mother and father who has 10 children. Despite the number, they can remember all the information of each and every children. A skillful teacher who has 40 students in the class can remember the characteristic features of students, especially with regard to learning process, so that he can give the knowledge better by recognizing different taste of student of the class. So that is how skillful teachers and parents do. Likewise, if the cowherd is skillful, he is going to understand all the appearances or forms, differences of the cowherd. But here the first point to be clear is the cowherd is not well versed in forms. Second one, unskilled in characteristic. Na lakkana kusala hoti in Pali. The first one is na rupanyu hoti. The third one, he does not remove flies' eggs. He does not remove flies' eggs. The fourth one, he fails to dress wound. He fails to dress wound. If there are 50 or 60 cows in a herd, it would be really difficult for the cowherd to look into each animals in details, but he would be able to notice if there is any wound, if there is any problem with any cow. So here he does not dress wound. He does not recognize those cows which have wound, and does not dress those wounds. That's the fourth one. The fifth one is about he does he not fumigate, which means he doesn't make the environment favorable for cows by different type of healthy smoke for flies to go away, for others to reach and help the cows. The area should be very good smelly, but the bad cowherd doesn't do that. That's the fifth one. The sixth one, he does not know the ford. There should be an ability in a cowherd to look for which place I should take the cows, especially in the river bank, in the river. If he doesn't know, it's a very bad thing, because little cow might get hurt or disappear if the water of the river is so fast, so that you should be able to find the proper place to take the cows from rivers and waterfalls and things like that. The seventh one, he does not know about watering them. He does not know what time he should give water and to which cow, and to which cow is more water, or which cow drinks little, and he doesn't know about any of those things. Then the eighth one, he does not know the path. He does not know the path. When you take the cow towards the jungle or the forest where you feed your cow, you should be able to know the path where there is no danger. If you look at the where the cows were fed in mostly in Asian countries, they use the forest or the area where other animals live, so that you should be able to know the less dangerous path to take the cows into the forest. But if you do not know, you are not doing a great job in protecting your cows. Then the ninth point, he is unskilled in the pastures. It means the place where you take the cows for feeding, including grass and other low level plants. How do you feed your cows? So you should be able to know where I should take the herd for feeding, and where should not I go, and something like that should be in the cowherd's minds always. And then the 10th point is he milks them dry. When you take milks from the mother cow, you should give some milk for the baby cow as well. If you look at the way many village people take milks from the cow, they leave some of the milk for the baby cow. Then the mother of the cow, the baby cow, is also happy, and then the baby cow is also has some milk for his growth, and it's called, I think, very humane. But at some point, when you do it in a commercial purposes, we don't see that, because you are taking the milk from the machine, so that I don't believe there is enough milk for the baby cows. I do not know about that, because I have visited few farms here in Canada. There I didn't see the baby cow is given such a milk, but the feeding of the baby cow were done in a different way. Then the last point, the cowherd shows no special veneration or respect for those elderly cow who have lived a long life. So these are the 11 points we find in the sutta. They are all about bad cow herding. The bad cowherd, the bad person who doesn't know about anything about the cows. Still, he is the cowherd. So, having said that, the Buddha said here very clearly, because a cowherd possessing these 11 qualities is incapable of raising a herd of cattle. And now we move on to what the Buddha said right after. Even so, bhikkhus, a monk possessing these 11 characteristics is incapable of attaining growth, progress, and maturation in this Dhamma and Vinaya. I tell you, friends, that the Dhamma and Vinaya is the real term the Buddha and the Arahants use for the Buddha's teaching. Today we call Buddhism. Sometime when you dive into denomination, you might say Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Zen Buddhism. So that's how the particular teaching lives a long time and gets various breakaways. But at the time of the Buddha himself and great disciple used the word Dhamma and Vinaya. This include everything. Dhamma is something you have to understand and realize, looking inwards, you see them. Vinaya is to discipline your mind with regard to speech and also action. In other words, Vinaya section covers our behavioral patterns, while the Dhamma is explained everything about the Vinaya and what has to be done by the Vinaya, and also it explains the nature of everything. So both should go together in order to get the enlightenment. So that is the very word we find in this sutta for everything Buddha said. So this has been now an English term, and I came across some Western monk use this term instead of Buddhism, instead of Buddha's teaching. They used to have this word dharma and vinaya. If you incline into more towards Sanskrit way of speaking, you can use dharma and vinaya. But if you purely stay with Pali term, dhamma and vinaya is the best way to is the best term. So, what are the 11 points here? Here, a bhikkhu has no knowledge of form. He is unskilled in characteristic. He doesn't remove flies' eggs. He fails to dress wound. Then he fumigates. Then he does not know the ford. He does not know about watering them, and he knows not. He doesn't know the path, and then he is unskilled in the area where he should, stays on, and he milks them dry, and finally he has no respect and venerations to the elderly sangha. The beautiful teaching come out of this simile when the Buddha talks about the details of each 11 of these factors. Let's go into that. In the meantime, I would like you to understand your own practice with regard by analyzing, by applying this teaching, and ask question if you have any, even during the explanation. The first one, the Buddha said that a bhikkhu who doesn't know about form, or the bhikkhu, or the person who doesn't have any knowledge about form, what kind of form we talk about with regard to the cowherd and also the bhikkhu. When you look at a unskillful cowherd, he doesn't know the various features of various shape of the cows. Suppose you have 50 or 60 cows in the herd, and you do not know how to remember, how to analyze, how to keep them in mind. This cow has this shape, and this cow is different from this. And sometimes, despite the number of cows, some cowherd could name each cow by different name label. Today you see a sticker stick to the ear of the cow, one of the ears. Sometime if there is any special cow, you can see a kind of garland around the neck of the cow. So you can see them when you go to a farm. But unskillful cowherd doesn't know about these things. He does only take in the cow to the field and fetch them with whatever available and bring them, and he doesn't know how to do anything and everything at all about the cow herding, but he does. As a result, he doesn't get any credit from the owner, and the owner also doesn't get anything. Likewise, the bhikkhu or bhikkhuni or any layperson who practice the dhamma, if he or she doesn't know the form, the knowledge of form is not with him or her, there is a problem. What is this talking about? A monk does not understand as it really is does. whatever form they all comprise of the four great elements, and the form derived from the four great elements. So this is with regard to the Patavi Dhatu, Apo Dhatu, Vayo Dhatu, Tejo Dhatu. These are the four primary elements. And if you do not know these four and the derived four elements, it's called Upadaya Rupa in Pali. So we know that the nature of every physical thing is the four great elements. Patavi Dhatu. It means that suppose you have this bell, and for example, so when I touch it, when I hold it, I feel the heaviness, I feel the toughness. That is because this has the Patavi nature, elements, Patavi elements. And not only that is the predominant elements of this particular object called bell, but it has the other elements too, Apo Dhatu, Vayo Dhatu, and Tejo Dhatu. If you rub this ball like this for a minute or so, you feel the Tejo, which means temperature, and you can make some small wind-like things by waving the ball like this. So it has the nature of the four great elements. Suppose I and you all together see this ball and make a picture of the ball in our mind. It means we have an image of the ball in our mind. Even if I take it out, now you remember the color of the ball, meditation ball, and the shape of it, and like that you have the image of the ball in your mind. And whatever you created in mind and keep it there, it is called Upadaya Rupa, four great elements. The four great elements and derived element from the four great elements is called Rupa. So I just wanted to say how the Buddha defined the Rupa. And elsewhere, like in Kajjaniya Sutta, there are additional information like Rupatiti Kobikwe Rupa. It is changing from moment to moment, depending on rain, depending on heat, depending on fire, depending on various other activities. This particular thing is changed. That's why it's called Rupa. If you take you as Rupa, suppose you go to the mirror and you see yourself. So the image in the mirror is you, but it's an image, and it could be changed. Its nature, its characteristic features by way of raining and fire and various other things. And if you get a vehicle, it could be a Rupa because it has the nature of four elements, and it's slowly, gradually, going to change its basic nature. That's common to every Sankara. I would say what is the word for Sankara? Conditional nature is always there. So that is Rupa. And you see, if you are a disciple of the Buddha, the first thing you want to know is about Rupa, four great elements. But here we talk about the bhikkhu who is incapable of growth and maturity in the Dhamma and Vinaya. He doesn't know about this form. The second one, bhikkhu is unskillful in characteristic. What does this mean? Here, a monk does not understand as it really is the karmic characteristic of a fool and the karmic characteristic of a wise. Simply, it means that we do not know who is the foolish person, who is the wise person. There's an interesting discourse in Anguttara Nikaya section 3, number 2, and the sutta name is Lakkana Sutta. There Buddha gave a very nice explanation for these two. Who is the fool, and who is the wise person? Listen to it. A fool is characterized by his or her action. A wise person is, sorry, a fool is characterized by his or her action, and a wise person is characterized by his or her action. It is through the activities of one's life that one discerns shine. So, a person endowed with three things is to be recognized as a fool. Which three? Bodily misconduct, verbal misconduct, and mental misconduct. A man endowed with these three, when we say man, it also represents the women also. The person endowed with these three things is to be recognized as a fool. To be a fool, what you need? Misconduct from body, speech, and of course mind, mental conduct. A person endowed with three things is to be recognized as a wise person. Which three? Good bodily conduct, good verbal conduct, and good mental conduct. So the Buddha encourages us to be a wise person. Monks, you should train yourself like we will avoid the three bad things, and we try to be try to get the good things in our life, so that be a wise person. That is the encouragement given by the Buddha here in the Lakkana Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya. So the same thing is uttered here. If you do not know characteristic of a monk, it means you do not know who is wise, who is not wise, who is intelligent, who is not intelligent. It's a problem, because you might be living with foolish people who have bad conduct bodily, verbally, and mentally, so that you become one of them. If you look at the story of those two parrots, story of Devadatta and the monks, and some stories where they are how good people become bad, like Angulimala. So we do not know. It could happen to us as well, because we do not know that knowledge. We do not have that knowledge about who is foolish, who is wise, so that you become a part of that group who which does so many bad things. So it's really important for us. With regard to this, we actually associate bad people. In the entire teaching of the Buddha, it is said that having a good friend who knows the Dharma is the key thing for you to know the Dharma, unless you are in great danger. If you look at Mangala Sutta, Balanancha Sevana, if you associate foolish people, it's going to be bad, really bad for you. But Panditananja Sevana, right after that, the Buddha said that the auspicious thing for your life is to have wise people around. It doesn't mean you need wise people in your vicinity. Today, the technology is developed, and you can reach to any person in the world at any place. So that association of good people could be happening in such a way too, right? So that's the second point, is the explained by the Buddha. And the third one, how bhikkhus does a monk not remove flies' egg? With regard to cowherd, if he or she is a better cowherd, he or she should be able to go to the cow and look around the skin of the cows, whether they have eggs of different insects and bugs and things like that. Not only in the cow's body, but around the area, in the area where cows so fed, and cows are well protected, and we can add that part as well. So let's go to the Dharma. The Buddha explained here with regard to bhikkhu. A monk tolerates a lustful thought that has arisen. He doesn't abandon it. He doesn't rid himself of it. He does not do away with it. He doesn't eradicate it. That's the first thing. So similar to the bad cowherd who doesn't, he doesn't remove fly's egg. Here, the bhikkhu who doesn't, remove the sensual thoughts, kama vitakka or lustful thought, is enjoying it. It is said here, he tolerates a lustful thought that has arisen already. He doesn't abandon it. He doesn't rid himself of it. He doesn't do away with it. He doesn't eradicate it. So when you have sensual thought or kama vitakka, it means that you are dealing with karma with the sense of getting it, with the sense of indulging it. What is karma in the first place? It is the pleasure you have when you see a picture, when you, in a negative way. For example, when you see the Buddha's image somewhere, you really need it, you become spiritually joyful. It is not kamatanna, it is not kamachanda, it is not karma. When you look at the Buddha's image and bring your shraddha into present moment, into application, it helps you overcome any unskillfulness with greed, hatred, and ignorance. But when you see something and somebody, and your mind is inclining to own it, sense, enjoyed it, that becomes a sensual pleasure. So so kama vitakka or lustful thought is always damaging you. It kills your rightful energy. It makes damages to your right thinking, so that so long a lustful thought exists in you, the damage would be much bigger and widened, so that if you are a good disciples of the Buddha, you would be able to recognize them and abandon them. But here we talk about the bhikkhu who doesn't remove fly's egg. It means that he knows and he says that sensual pleasure is arisen, but he doesn't do anything, like the cowherd who doesn't remove the fly's egg. What happens if you keep the fly's egg in the cow's body? It creates many number of flies from the egg, and they also take the blood out of the cow, and the cow is going to be really sick. If you keep your sensual thoughts after recognizing that this is a sensual thought, if you keep it further, you are going to develop a strong unwholesome roots like lobha, dosa, moha, asava, and fetters, sangyojana. So as soon as you see sensual pleasures, you have to remove it, you have to eradicate it. That is the advice given by the Buddha. He tolerates a thought of ill will, vyapada sankappa. It means you are angry, you are hateful, you have that burning issue with somebody or something. As soon as you recognize that you are angry, you are upset, you have that burning issue in you with regard to somebody or something, just cool down. Otherwise, you are going to burn your right energy that are necessary, that is necessary for your well-being and happiness. And not only your mind is unwholesome, it affects to your physical body as well. If you live with anger for certain period of time, practically, I'm saying this because I have seen many people, they eat, but they are not digested well. They breathe, but the air quality in the lungs, would be poisonous and dangerous. And whatever you do in the house, in the office, on the road may not be helpful for anybody else, because you are mindful, your mindfulness is muddled and disturbed, so that the results of your actions at any place doesn't give you or anybody else much solace. So that anger could be a poison. Anger could be a very dangerous time bomb, and it could kill everybody's happiness. So that whenever you recognize that anger is there, try to eradicate it, try to remove it. But here this bhikkhu doesn't do that. Then he tolerates a violent thought. It's called vihinsa vitakka. Sometimes cruelty comes to effect in our mind due to prevailing anger. When anger exists in us for certain period of time, the level of anger might go down as it comes, but that thought of revenge might be in your mind in a strong way, so that with smile, with pleasant attitudes, you might damage somebody. Because when it comes to vihinsa or cruel thought, your physical and verbal behavior may be same to a very nice person, but inside of your mind, that burning issue is taking place in a strong way. So that whenever you recognize that cruel thought is in your mind, try to do away with, try to eradicate. But the monk who doesn't have the wonderful qualities in the training does not recognize these three type of negative feeling. If you look at Veda Vitakka Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, it is a sutta that talks about the Buddha's endeavor to full enlightenment. He recognized these three kinds of thoughts in his mind as the Bodhisattva. Having seen these three negative thought processes, he also found the total opposite of these three, Nekkama Vitakka, Metta Vitakka, and Karuna Vitakka. It's called Avyapada Ahimsa, but it really means Metta and Karuna. So the Bodhisattva saw the possibility of developing these wholesome three thought processes as a response to the negative thought processes, and as a result of the development of good thought processes, he became enlightened, he said in Vedaitaka Sutta. So now it is very clear that if you do not have that, you are like that cowherd who never removes the fly's egg. Now the fourth one, it is about dress wound. So when you see a wound, you have to give medicine and wash it with some medicinal stuff and put medicine and cover it until the wound is dry, until the wound is get kind of dry nature, so that it's going to be okay. But if you do not do that, you open it for water, you open it for different animals, mosquitoes and all dust and various things, so that you are going to be really bad with the wound. So how does the monk fail to dress wound? Here, monks, Buddha said, when he sees a form with the eye, he grabs its sign and its details, so long as he dwells unrestrained in that eye faculty. Bad, unwholesome state of covetousness and displeasure may overwhelm him or her. Therefore, he does not keep himself restrained. He does not guard the eye faculty. He does not devote himself to restrain in the eye faculty. So this is with regard to sensory restraint. We call it Indriya Sangvara in Pali. So fail to dress wound means Whenever you see a wound, you have to cover it. Similarly, you have to guard or cover your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. 6 senses. It does not mean that you cover your senses by something like cloth or paper. It means that when you see something, you regard it as only a form, which uh, doesn't have much value on it. For example, if you are a disciple who practice meditation for quick, attainment to enlightenment, you think that everything I see is made by 4 great elements. They are all human beings like me who have nature of decay and dying. So what else? It is true that this flower, this cloth, this vehicle, this man, this woman is beautiful. But what else? What is the point? They are also going to change. So like this, you are guarding your sensor. It doesn't mean you do not see. You see things. But having seen things, you give a message to your mind, I would say, in order to explain this. You give a message to your mind through wisdom that this is not permanent. This is something subject to change. Likewise, you make a shield uh, around your mind to protect your mind from attachment, ignorance, greed, hatred, and so forth. In the previous point, we talk about karma sankappa, vyapad sankappa, vihimsa sankappa. So, if you guard your first sense, the eye, you are going to be putting an end to those 3 types of unwholesome state. But the monk who is failing in the dharma and vinaya doesn't do that. He is going to attach to whatever he says. He is going to, as a result, what happened? Covetousness as displeasure. It means abhijja domanas might arise in the mind. If suppose I see many things around, I go to the market and I go to the downtown and I go to the musical park, amazing park, and I make attachment to everything I see. So that's mean you have developed a lot of ignorance in your mind, craving, greed in your mind. It is been tested when you sit for meditation. I'm saying this with practical examples. So suppose you go on a trip to anywhere to see the places and so forth, and you don't do any, genuine meditation. You are not able to practice meditation with ease and up to the point right after that trip, because you entertain your mind with sensual pleasures during that trip, so that it would not be easy for you to take the mind into samadhi quickly, because for a couple of days your mind was with sensual pleasures. So mind has a habit now to enjoy them, not the other way around. So friends, it's real danger if you are meditating or if you're following the Dhamma for attainment to enlightenment in this very life. You have to stop all kinds of entertaining things so that you would find easy ground for practicing the wonderful quality called samadhi for arising of wisdom. So here the bhikkhu fails to dress wound means he is not guarding his eyes or seeing or hearing or tasting, smelling, touching, and thinking. No limits at all for him or her. So that he's going to his wound. He actually here wounds mean being unable to protect your senses with wisdom, so that when the womb is going to be bigger and bigger, what happened to your health? Yeah, it's deteriorating. You're going to have various problems right after. So because you are not protecting your womb, you are not doing anything to heal it. As a result, your mind is full with craving, greed, hatred, and ignorance, and no way for you to feel anything in the Buddha's teaching. So that is And that's a long part, a section of the discourse, because it takes a couple of lines to explain the nature of each senses when you really do not restrain them. So then the fifth one is about not fumigate. It means big monk does not teach others the Dhamma in details as he has heard or learned and mastered. So it's a very interesting point. Suppose some monks might stay calm and peaceful in a distant monastery, not without teaching anything he knows. It's really bad. It's like you know something, but you are not sharing with others. It's a lack of compassion. So when you know something about your mind and body in line with the Buddha's teaching, you better share it with your wife, your husband, children, parents, and whoever listen to you, because that is dharma. By sharing, not only they benefit from it, you also benefit from it, because you additionally accumulates merits by doing that, and at the same time you reconfirm what you know. So teaching others the dharma in details is like making the whole environment fragrant. With regard to cowherd, he or she should be able to make some smokes, fragrant one, very good smell in the area where cows station, so that those bad and very dangerous flies may not be able to come, because smokes makes them away from the from reaching the cows. So likewise, when you know the Dhamma, you teach somebody next to you, and they of course do the same thing, so that everybody in the society knows what is good and what is bad, and it is an additional advantage for you to stay in the Dhamma. Suppose only you know the Dhamma, only you know about the Four Noble Truths, Noble Eightfold Path, and how to behave peacefully, what techniques you take for controlling your emotion. Only you know about all these things. Everybody else in the family doesn't recognize that kind of things, and they never respect that kind of spiritual practice. What happened to you? It's very difficult for you to practice what you want, because everybody else in the house never respect for your silence. They make noises, they do dancing with music, making everything every possible things for you unpossible, impossible. So you don't find enough time to meditate. So how about if you make them sense about what you do in a positive way? So they will support you. They will take you to places where you can stay longer and practice. And they will discuss the Dhamma. They will perhaps go into the spirituality better than you, which is another support point. So that if a monk doesn't do that, he's going to be like that cowherd who doesn't fumigate. So far we have talked about 5 points, and I can go into other 5 as well quickly. But if you have any questions, I would like to give you the floor. Even though I said that you can ask any question by raising the electronic hand, you may be staying there without telling anything out of respect for the sermon. Anyway, now I would stop here because we have discussed 5 points out of 11. There are 6 more. So you can ask any questions, or you can comment, or you can explain something extraordinarily understood by you. So take the time and benefit everyone by your understanding, by your experience in this sutta. Is there any questions? try to understand. I know that you understand them, but try to reflect on them over and over, so that you would be really peaceful again and again. What are these the four great elements? I used to do it over and over, and the benefit I get from it is so much. I always think that me is a combination of four great elements, and everybody else and everything else. So it's so simple to be away from any trouble feeling with that idea. If I and everyone and everything else in the universe has the nature of four elements, and the nature of the element is always changing, and what is going to be all, what is going to be decayed, is nothing but these four great elements. So then why we worry about old age? Why we worry about the low quality of our physical body functions? What is the worry about dying somebody? Because death is a kind of moving the energy from this body. This body means the four great elements, and the mind is separated from the body, and the body is like the earth, like the water, like the fire. And if you think about you in such a way, and you would be able to overcome any obstacles in your lay life, in your priest life, or any difficult situation is really overcome. And the sense restraint, we talk about Indriya Sangvara in many ways at in different places of the Dhamma. It is the beginning of the trail, but very important aspect. We, in other words, talk about the importance of Yoniso Manasikara and Samadhi as Dhamma elements. They are the first couple of important points at the beginning of the research with regard to what you should have right understanding, with regard to what Dhamma quality you should have right understanding, is this sensory experience, the physical body and its nature. In other words, if you are mindful about what mind is created through seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, thinking, and so forth, you have put the right inspector to investigate everything. That's why mindfulness is coming into play here, with wisdom and perseverance. If mindfulness is established in us, it takes everything come through senses. Only good things are well taken and appropriately applied to your words and action. But if the things you come across through senses are really negative, the wise attention, the yoniso manasikara, and samadhi, whatever word you use, it's fine, and that comes and make the damage to that unskillfulness. So that, friends, Indriya Sangvara is a very important thing to be practiced. Indriya Sangvara, simply it means that you become mindful what you see, and you become mindful what you hear. You become mindful about what you sense and what you feel. So there you have the chance of seeing your mind. If what you see bring you craving in your mind, you can take the craving out by understanding the very thing I see is made up of four great element. It doesn't belong to me. It depends on this and that. So we cannot have this long analysis at the time we see things, but we have to get the sense of it and apply it at the time we need it. For example, you go to the market to buy something, and you see a beautiful things in a shop, but you don't have money to buy. You don't, and it's an additional thing. Look at your mind, how type of craving arises in mind, because you see it and you forget about all these dhamma and you try to own it. It's really unnecessary, but your craving mind says to buy it, to own it. How many things we have bought, we have purchased so far in our life? A lot. That they are not relevant to our survival. If you go to your basement, if you go to your closet, if you go to go around in the house, how many things you haven't used for years? There are many. But those friends who know about renunciation might give those things away from anyway. But there are people who make piles and mount piles of things, box of things that are unnecessary. That is because of desire for those objects. So that when you see, when you hear, when you taste, be mindful about what you hear, what you seen, and what you sense and what you think, so that you can easily separate that craving and attachment from your mind. The first point is much difficult, I would say, because it talks about the rupa, rupa kanda, just rupa. How does rupa begin and what consists rupa? It talks about the four great elements. Sometimes I experience that some people do not really understand the four great elements. They know by words that the Buddha talks about this. Rupa means physical body, or rupa means me, rupa means they, and so forth. But when we comes to deep analysis, rupa is nothing but that nature of four elements and also the mental image you created in mind. So then the second point is also significant. In the first place, in this training, you should be able to find right people, people who can support you with the teaching, people who show you your mistakes for the benefit of yourself. And those people are really significant for us. To Venerable Ananda, the Buddha said that the foundation of the sasana is nothing but the friendship. It means that Kalyana Mitra, the wholesome friends, should be there for us to have metta or Kalyana Mitra qualities. In the simultaneously, you should become a Kalyana Mitra to for other people. Not only you look for Kalyana Mitra for your practice, you should also be able to a Kalyana Mitra for somebody else. It means you don't harm anyone, you don't steal, you don't do this and that. In order to become a Sappurisa, in order to become a very good person, you should have those wonderful qualities. So unless you do not know what who are wise people, who are unwise people, and there is a great danger for you to stay with unwholesome people, foolish people, because they are always entertaining their mind with sensual pleasures, greed, hatred, and ignorance. So Gopalaka Sutta, the Sutta number 33 in Majjhima Nikaya, is a wonderful sutta in this case, because it gives us qualities of a bad monk. We haven't discussed much of a good monk, but anyway, we can sense that like the 11 points of a bad cowherd, we would be able to find the similar points here with regard to the good practitioner. Okay, so I think you have no questions so far. Nobody has raised hand. Maybe the discourse is not that difficult. It talks about important Dhamma elements in a direct way, so that you have heard about them, and today the same thing is going on, so that there won't be any follow-up questions. If you do not have any, I would like to stop the class for today from this fifth point of the discourse, next week I will take the other 6 points and complete the discussion on Maha Gopalaka Sutta. Okay, tomorrow, June 18, is considered the Father's Day in this part of the world. In Europe, I think many other countries celebrate June 18, the father's important participation in their lives. So those friends from Sri Lanka, they already in the day, and even if you do not, even if your children do not wish for some reason, I just want to take this opportunity to wish you a happy Father's Day. May you be able to practice Dhamma that are necessary for your well-being and happiness right now, and attainment to enlightenment in the future. May you be well, happy, and peaceful. So that is my gift to you. And those fathers who join here from Canada and elsewhere, may you also be well, happy, and peaceful. May you have a happy and peaceful Father's Day, and may you be able to cultivate Dhamma which are necessary for nirvana and attain enlightenment in this very life. And we do not forget our mothers also. We have great compassion and respect for them in our heart, and we kindly remember them as well, and may they be well, happy, and peaceful. And Dhamma brothers and sisters, that's the end of today's Sutta discussion, and we would like to meet you next week with the second part of the discourse. And please come and enjoy the Dhamma in a positive way, so that you would be able to end up the cycle of suffering in this very life. Having that wish in mind, I'm going to stop today's Sutta study class. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.